My name is Jack, and I've been a firefighter for over a decade now. There's something about facing the flames that's always drawn me in. The adrenaline rush, the camaraderie with my crew, the sense of purpose in saving lives. But there are some nights, some calls, that haunt me long after the embers have cooled. It was a chilly October evening when the alarm sounded, piercing through the quiet of the firehouse. We scrambled into our gear, the urgency palpable in the air. The dispatcher's voice crackled over the radio, directing us to an old abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. As we raced through the streets, the moon cast eerie shadows, and a sense of foreboding settled over me. Arriving at the scene, the building loomed before us like a dark, brooding giant, its windows shattered and its walls blackened with soot. We rushed inside, the flames roaring around us like angry spirits. The heat was suffocating, pressing down on me as if trying to crush my spirit along with my body. The smoke stung my eyes, making it difficult to see more than a few feet ahead. But it wasn't just the fire that unsettled me. There was something off about this place. An oppressive heaviness that seemed to seep into my bones, chilling me to the core. I shook it off, focusing on the task at hand, to rescue anyone trapped inside. As we made our way deeper into the inferno, the building seemed to twist and shift around us like a living, breathing entity. I could hear whispers in the crackle of the flames, feel eyes watching me from the darkness. And then we found them. A group of huddled figures, their faces twisted in fear, their eyes wide with terror. We moved quickly, guiding them to safety, but even as we led them out of the burning building, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being followed. Back at the firehouse, as we debriefed and caught our breath, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease settling over me. Something had happened in that warehouse, something beyond the realm of fire and smoke. The days blurred into weeks, and the memory of that night at the abandoned warehouse began to fade, buried beneath the weight of routine calls and everyday life. But just when I thought I had left it all behind, a series of strange occurrences began to unfold. It started with small things, objects moved when I was sure I hadn't touched them, whispers in the dead of night that seemed to echo through the walls of my own home. At first, I brushed it off as stress, the lingering effects of that harrowing night. But then, the nightmares began. I would find myself back in that warehouse, surrounded by flames that licked at my skin with hungry tongues. But this time, I wasn't alone. Figures danced in the shadows, their faces twisted into grotesque masks of agony. And in the center of it all stood a figure cloaked in darkness, its eyes burning with an otherworldly fire. I woke from these dreams drenched in sweat, my heart hammering against my ribs. I tried to convince myself it was just my mind playing tricks on me, but the feeling of dread persisted, like a storm brewing on the horizon. Then, one night, as I lay awake in bed, I heard it again, the sound of crackling flames, the distant wail of sirens. Only this time, it wasn't just in my head. I stumbled out of bed and rushed to the window, heart pounding in my chest. And there, in the distance, I saw it, the glow of fire, casting eerie shadows against the night sky. But it wasn't coming from the direction of the old warehouse. No, it was much closer than that. It was coming from my own backyard. With trembling hands, I threw open the back door and stepped outside, the chill of the night air cutting through me like a knife. And there, in the center of my backyard, stood the charred remains of what used to be a small shed. I approached cautiously, the flames long extinguished but the heat still radiating from the smoldering ruins. And as I peered inside, my blood turned to ice. Nestled among the ashes, I saw them. The same twisted figures from my nightmares, their eyes vacant yet somehow accusatory. I stumbled back, a scream rising in my throat, but before I could utter a sound, a voice spoke from behind me, a voice that sent shivers down my spine.
"Welcome to my domain, Jack,"
it said, its tone dripping with malice.
"You thought you could escape, but you belong to me now, forever."
And as I turned to face the source of the voice, I saw him, the figure cloaked in darkness, his eyes burning with an unholy fire. And in that moment, I realized the truth. The fire at the warehouse had been no accident. It had been a sacrifice. A gateway for something far more sinister to enter our world. And now, it had claimed me as its own.